Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a call and response kind of panel where we're going to say things and you have to respond. That was the last one, though. Welcome to the Greater Than Games Annual Plus review. It's Annual Plus because we have more than 1 year to catch up on here. Because it's been a minute since we've been at Gen Con, but it's good to be back. I like Gen Con.
I like that we're not in our traditional very far away room by trains.
Oh, I know. I was like, I'm going to have to walk all the way to the train room. But instead, he just walked upstairs. This is great. Good.
And Trevor's not going to be disrupted by trains rumbling past every 11 minutes.
Good job, Katie, getting this room. I assume this was you.
Yeah,
You're
Katie
welcome.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we to some degree we are a portion of Greater Than Games. I am Christopher Bedell, the editor-in-chief of Greater Than Games.
I am Paul Bender, the division president of Greater Than Games.
I'm Katie Nail. I'm the Director of Publishing Operations for Greater Than Games.
And introducing
Getty Carey Avery, brand manager for Greater Than Games.
Getty is one of our newest employees, and yet not that new at this point, but still newish. And Getty's been killing it as brand manager, and we are super excited to have her as part of the team.
One notable thing about Getty is that when you're spelling her name, you need to put as many E's in it as possible.
Lots of E's, like
Do not start this.
multiple E's.
Don't start this. I fought very hard for that name, Paul. I am going to have a conniption on stage on my first public appearance.
You want to make sure that any badges you get for Getty have lots of extraneous E's.
You cannot put extra E's in my name. You can make fun of me for being named after Rush or misquote Rush lyrics around me. I understand if you have to Google Rush lyrics because like nobody knows it, but like I get it.
I want to be clear that when we're doing this, we're not making fun of your name. We're reveling in it.
You're reveling in the amount of E's that are in my name.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 3. Well, no, there's still 2. You got me.
Yeah, so that's it. That's our panel. So we...
Thank you for coming.
We just kind of wanted to talk through what we've been up to the last couple of years, where things are going next, and of course answer any questions that y'all might have.
How many of you have been to previous iterations of this sort of panel, except in the train building?
Great. So those of you
Wow.
who have joined us on these
wow.
panels before know that there is a significant portion of the panel in which a person named Andy Aronson sits in the audience and asks us questions. Andy is a dear friend of the company and he's been a fan of the company since we started. And unfortunately, Andy is sick. He texted us last night to say that he's not going to be able to make the panel, which is, and I am incredibly disappointed. I threatened to call him and keep him on speakerphone for this. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the last 20 minutes of this panel because, frankly, I had written in the schedule, then Andy asks questions. So
He should have prepared a list for us, honestly, at this point.
Well, no, just everyone here is going to have to step it up and ask us some Andy Aronson-esque questions. What did we call them on the letters page?
we call eventually they started as Andy questions. We eventually changed them to meta questions.
Meta
because that makes
questions.
any sense at all?
Right.
Anyway, let's talk about Greater Than Games. So last time we were at a Gen Con in this capacity was 2019, which is probably the same for many of you as well. And since then, nothing really has changed.
Yeah, everything is the same.
Yeah.
Including the world.
Yeah. So that's the end of this whole panel.
You wanna give an overview?
Yeah. So since 2019, many things have happened. So the most notable one, maybe if you're at the seminar because you care about Greater Than Games, is that we sold Greater Than Games to a company called Flat River Group. So now we are the publishing wing of the much larger company, Flat River Group. And the most notable effect of that for anyone who's a customer who likes our stuff is that we will make somewhat more games more quickly, and they will be in stock more.
Yeah, our games won't go out of stock as easily. One of the first things that Flat River Group did is like, all right, so you know how Spirit Island, you do these big print runs and they immediately sell out? Do a much bigger print run. We're like, but that costs a lot of money. And they're like, we know. We're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, so something I'm very excited about is that since that print run of Spirit Island that I ordered in November showed up in March, we've not been out of Spirit Island.
Yeah.
Which is the longest continuous run of not being out of stock of Spirit Island since it was printed in 2017. Yeah. So
And we're on
that's
track.
cool.
And we're on track to continue being not out of stock as Spirit
I
Island,
know.
which is shocking.
Yeah.
Or any of the other projects. But like we're able to do a much better job keeping products in stock because that's just tying up a lot of capital. And that was the thing that as a small company we did not have. We had a small amount of capital and we did a lot with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are better now.
But we've also released a bunch of games since 2019.
Yeah.
So at this show, we have a ton of Spirit Island stuff. We've got Jagged Earth, and we've got the Invader board, and we've got the premium foil panels, and we've also released the Sentinel Comics RPG. Sentinels Multiverse Definitive Edition.
Yeah, I was to say we since the last Gen Con we announced, created, ran a Kickstarter for, released the core game of Definitive Edition, and then also did the Kickstarter for the expansion for the Rook City Renegades expansion. So yeah, Sentinels the Multiverse Definitive Edition has had a whole beginning of its life cycle sans Gen Con at all, which is weird. But so yeah, this is the first show that Sentinels Definitive Edition has been at. And
Yeah, it's bananas.
yeah. But that's been doing very well. Yeah,
Yeah. And then the letters pages continued to happen that entire time.
that's true. My podcast continues
Yeah.
to be somewhat listenable.
Hey, did somebody notice your podcast? Or give you anything for it?
Yeah, did you won a thing?
Oh yeah, well yeah. At last Gen Con 2021, we weren't here as a company, but Katie and I were here doing some meetings, and at the Innies last year, we won an Innie for the Letters Page podcast. So that was cool. Thank you. Yeah,
Very exciting.
We were like, I was like, thanks. I'm not sure yet. Okay. Yeah.
So now Christopher has an Emmy award-winning podcast.
Beyond
The
that,
award-winning podcast, The Letters Page.
I am an award-winning podcaster.
That's true.
That's weird. Yeah. So.
Not many podcasters have won awards.
And anybody, does anybody here listen to the Letters Page? A couple people do? Great.
Hey.
You're all award-winning podcast listeners. So,
Whoa.
yeah, that's pretty.
We can print those on shirts. Just let me know.
It's a feather in your cap. So, and those of you who aren't listening to the Letters Page, you could be award-winning. Come on. Yeah, so that talks about Sentinel Comics stuff. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's kind of the summary. So like a lot of this panel really is driven by all of your questions.
By your questions,
and what
yeah.
you want to know about what we're doing or what we've been up to, both about the past and the future. And so I would love to hear if people have questions. This is where Andy usually asks questions.
I'm gonna
You have to
say a
step
couple
it up.
more things before
Oh,
I do
okay.
that.
You got some more?
Yeah. So the other thing that's really notable that's happened, both because of Flat River Group and also because of the way the company's growing. 2020 was a rough year. I think we can all yeah. I'm gonna come out with a hot take. You heard it here. 2020 was a rough year, but over the course of 2020, we weathered it. We got through it, and with some sacrifices, with some assistance, we made it through. And then since then, we've been like figuring things back out again. But in the last couple of years, both between 2021 and 2022, we've hired quite a few more people, and we've added close to a dozen people between those 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so great.
I think more than a dozen, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're just shy of 30 people now, I want to say.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yep, in St.
Yeah.
Louis.
Yeah, in St. Louis, full time in St.
Yep.
Louis, and that's really thrilling to us. That's one of the things we're really excited about is how much the Greater Than Games team has always been the strength of Greater Than Games. Like we've always had phenomenal people that work for us, and that team has only grown and expanded with the addition of Getty here and many others. And so I have, with all of the things that are up and coming, I have a lot of hopes for, like Paul said, we're going to be making more games more faster. And part of that is because we have so many more really phenomenal people working for us. So that's the thing I'm very excited about as a company. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
I want to make a note that when Christopher said sacrifices during COVID, that did not mean like laying off an entire department. Everyone that was with us before COVID is pretty much still with us.
No, I mostly meant my blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Personally.
Blood, definitely.
Yeah, right.
And also various like burnt offerings.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, fattened calves.
Right.
I do have some words that make
The first
for some
fruits of the field.
questions.
Yeah.
I have some information on upcoming games that if you're not on our social media or following us online, you may not have heard about yet. It's a lot of Spirit Island stuff, so I'm going to lead with the things that already happened.
I'm not on social media or following us online, so I'm really curious.
What?
Yeah.
I said I'm not on social media or following us online, so I'm really
This
curious.
is true. You have very good boundaries outside of work. So we successfully funded a second edition of Compounded, the peer-reviewed edition, which is by Daryl Lauder, one of the designers on Greater Than Games' team, and a new roll and write that he designed in the same style as the chemistry-based board game called Lab Notes. So that went up on Kickstarter. We successfully funded it, and the BackerKit surveys are going to be going out soon after Gen Con. Another thing that we are doing is we're working with the Homestar Runner folks on Dangeresque Crime Scene Tamper. That was recently announced on Twitter. The Brother Chaps and Strong Bad and also Homestar, I think, are actually
Correct.
here this weekend.
Yes.
And they are signing stuff. Strong Bad specifically is signing stuff. He's not allowing anyone else to touch the markers, which I guess I understand. He is the biggest personality. But if you want to meet the Strong Bad puppet and the Brothers Chaps and hear them harass you with Strong Bad's voice, we have a couple more opportunities to meet them at our booth.
That was very fun yesterday.
Yeah.
It was very fun yesterday. That is going to be a game that crowdfunds in 2023, and it's a party card game about everybody being guilty and you trying to pass the buck of evidence to frame somebody else.
It is the party game for guilty parties.
The party card game for guilty parties.
Yeah.
Parties. The other three things I'll just go through really quickly. There are foil spirit panels downstairs at our booth that opens in like 45 minutes, 47 minutes. We are almost out of stock of them. If you're interested in a thin cardstock style foil panels for all of these Spirit Island expansions and the core game, those are new. We have sleeves for them. They make it very easy to transport a game because it's not the big cardboard style. We'll still be making cardboard style punch out Spirit panels in the future.
I would say gray board, because like
Gray board?
gray board or punch board. Gray board, like cardboard's like a different thing.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Punch
No
board
worries.
is the correct term for that.
Also, we printed, not that we printed, but we air freighted them here to have them at the show. We have a limited number of them. They will sell out. So
If you do miss them, they are available for pre-order on our site. You can just put in a back order for it, and we will fulfill them come, I believe, October when we get the rest of the shipment in.
Yeah, the container should be in by early October. Yeah.
And then there are two new Spirit Island products to talk about. Horizons of Spirit Island is going to be a Target exclusive. It's a $30 price point version of Spirit Island. The mechanics haven't been stripped down or anything. Target approached us asking if they could get an exclusive of Spirit Island for their shelves. And we said, we're not going to change the gameplay, but we will make a version of Spirit Island that's going to be on Target shelves, available for the general public. You don't have to go out of your way to find it. We're hoping that's going to bring in a lot of new people and give established fans an opportunity to like gift the game and introduce it to other people.
Yeah.
It has, go ahead.
I would say it's kind of like a pre-expansion, or like a level 0 expansion, in that it is an onboard ramp to the core game. So it's good for people who are like, oh, I'm interested in Spirit Island, but it seems like a lot. It's a big investment. It's a complicated thing. Instead of the $90 core game of Spirit Island, it is a $30 core game that gives you everything you need to play. It's a lot of interesting stuff. It's 5 unique spirits that are new to the game, that are all intentionally lower complexity, with the idea, still equally powerful as everything else, but lower complexity. The idea is like, this is a fantastic jumping off point. Already have everything for Spirit Island, and you're a big Spirit Island fan, you want new stuff? Great. This set is good for you. It has, like I said, 5 unique spirits, and 5 unique spirits for $30 is pretty great, but also the Invader deck is a good replacement for the Invader deck in the core game. It has some different art on the back, and I think it's just a little cleaner. All of the minor and major powers from the core game of Spirit Island are in this one, but in the process of making the Jagged Earth expansion, we got way better at templating power effects. Card effects on powers in Jagged Earth are written and explained much better than they are in the core game. Most of the time it's the same, but there are some corner cases where like this matters. No mechanical changes, just presentation changes. And so the minor and major powers in Horizon Spirit Islands are one-to-one replacements for those in the core game. Same with the Fear deck. So people say, wait, why would I have everything, why would I get Horizons? For the 5 new spirits, what I would do, what I'm doing with my set at home is I'm adding the 5 new spirits, I'm taking the minor and major powers from Horizons and putting the ones from the core game in the recycling bin, and the Fear decks as well. And then everything else, if you're a person who likes Spirit Island and wants Horizons just for the spirit, everything else in the box that is not those that you don't already, everything else that you already have copies of is recyclable. So the goal is you take the things you want, recycle the rest. Great.
You also get 3 new colors of the wooden.
Yes,
presence tokens.
there's new wooden presence tokens, and it's 3 colors we've never done before. So anyway, so that's the value add for somebody who likes Spirit Island a lot is high. The value for somebody who is maybe potentially interested in getting to Spirit Island is, well, everything in the box is for you. So I'm excited to see a new audience get exposed to Spirit Island because the target audience does not have a lot of overlap with the Spirit Island audience as is. So
The Spirit Island target audience as opposed to the target Spirit Island audience.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, the Spirit Island target audience as opposed to the target Spirit Island. Yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah, correct.
If you want to see one of the spirits, we have it on display in a glass case down on the first floor. It's
Yep.
right over by the end of the convention hall.
Yeah, we have the whole game on display there. You can see all the spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can take a look at all the components.
Cool.
One last thing, Nature Incarnate is the name of the next expansion. We're going to be crowdfunding it on BackerKit starting in October, so very soon coming up. So if Horizons isn't your speed, there's a new expansion coming. It's I've been understanding it's about the size of Jagged Earth. Is that correct?
Wrong.
It is
No.
a little bit smaller. It is
A little bit smaller
but
than
it's
Jagged
like
Earth.
it's bigger than Branch and Claw.
It's bigger than so it's a medium size. So Branch and Claw is a small expansion. Jagged Earth is a big expansion. This is a medium expansion.
But it's not an expansion to medium.
No.
The extremely popular
Or is it?
card game. It's a
Uh,
card game.
But yeah, so it's got 8 spirits in it, and it's got some other little things and a bunch of aspects. I don't know how much people are into Spirit Island, but if you like aspect cards from Jagged Earth, there is a lot of aspects.
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
can we make a Spirit Island expansion for medium?
No.
No.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we had this talk.
All right, next slide.
So Getty actually reminded me of something that I wanted to specifically talk about a time I was wrong.
Uh-oh.
And this is something that we did also in the last, since 2019 or whatever, the last
I'll
like,
dub this bit on
100
TikTok
years.
with the Stan is Wrong song.
For years with Greater Than Games, I did not want to make card sleeves because I think card sleeves,
Paul and I don't like sleeving cards. We personally don't sleeve our
Yeah.
own games. That's just us.
right.
We're wrong about things. Sometimes it's allowed.
And it's this. So I was finally convinced, we should make card sleeves. All right, people want card sleeves. And then we did, and we wound up finding a manufacturer that could make them at very good quality. They're really nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like them now.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about it. And actually, one of the tertiary benefits of making them that came out of that is we've now looked at all of our games that we had in print and all of the games we have working on in the future, and we've standardized on card sizes to match up with our card sleeves. So it's really easy to get sleeves for everything that we have now. So in the past, there were some weird size cardboard thingies that we would make that it was hard to sleeve. Well, now you can sleeve them if you're interested in that because we make sleeves that fit them.
Yeah, we have the 5 cards. They're the mini size, the standard size, square size, big size, way big size.
There's also
Tarot's in there.
other big size, which is tarot.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's-
Six.
Yeah, because
There's tarot size, big size, real big
Right.
size. Those aren't the official names.
there's mini Euro, which is like the Invader cards in the Spirit Island,
Yeah.
and a few other kind of cards. There's Square, which is like the compounded and deck building square tiles and various other things going forward like that. There is the standard size card sleeves, like every card in Sentinels of Multiverse, plus event cards for Spirit Island, etc.
It's also power cards. It's every card is Spirit Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's the tarot size cards, which are what are used for heroes in Sentinels of Multiverse.
Hero character cards, yeah.
And then there are what are called large scale card sleeves, which is a size we kind of invented, but it is the same aspect ratio as a standard 63 by 88 millimeter card, except it is 88 millimeters
Right.
On the minor axis, not the major axis.
It's
And then
the
maintains-
size of the villain character cards in Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Right. And then finally, colossal card sleeves, which are the panels for Spirit Island.
Yeah.
And those card sleeves are cool because if this is something you're into, you can sleeve the punchboard panels as
Yeah.
well.
And
They
they're big enough that like you could, if you're thirsty, you could fill it up with water and carry it around and like keep a couple of goldfish in there. They're very big.
Yeah.
So just if you wanted, like I don't recommend it. Okay, great. Card sleeves. Anything else?
That's all I have for announcements on products and such.
Cool. Katie?
Katie has prepared a
Katie,
long speech and presentation that
a
she will now launch
soliloquy?
into.
No,
It was
I'm
very
Okay,
good.
good. You're good. You'll fill up.
I'm good. I spoke enough. Okay, already, so we're good.
You've said so much though.
I know.
All right. Okay, so I think we opened it up to questions. Trevor, Trevor in the back, our videographer there, he's fantastic and makes all of our audio video stuff work. If you've ever seen a Kickstarter video and been like, man, that looks great, Trevor made it. If you ever watched one of our Kickstarter videos and went, oh, that one looks kind of weird, I made it. So yeah, Trevor's back there. He also makes the letters page happen, and he's filming all of these. Anyway, I put you on the spot today. Trevor, when we're doing questions, do you want just people to ask them? You don't have a microphone, and I'll repeat them? Yeah, I got a microphone. Do you want to do that?
Oh yeah, exactly. With the blinky
so
light.
people can come up and talk into it? Okay.
Or just, people can say, we'll say
Or
them
just
out loud.
holler at it? Oh, okay, Trevor feels like he's got it. Okay, so if you got a question, just raise your hand and holler at us, and we'll figure it out.
What Christopher and I have learned about Trevor is that he can fix anything with audio.
Yeah.
Under any circumstances,
Yeah, we
regardless
can
of
just
how terrible
really
it is.
ruin this. We'll talk over each other. It'll be great, and Trevor will make it sound
We'd
great
have
in
a
post.
train drive through. You wouldn't even
No
notice.
problem.
Trevor just clean it up in post.
No problem. I'm just going to do this for the rest of the panel.
Christopher.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, questions? No? Yeah. No, it's too late. I pointed at you. You can just do it from there, apparently. Trevor's got it.
Yeah, just
or
say
you
it.
come over here. Whatever you... Yeah, you're fine. Yes.
You can
You
just
can
speak
just...
normally.
Yeah, now you're
No,
good.
not
Yeah.
tonight.
Yep, you're fine.
So, now that you guys are under the umbrella of this other studio,
Yes.
how does this affect any future upcoming licensing or IPs that we might be seeing in the next couple of years? Have they said it's like, hey, we might be getting the licensing to work with something like this? I mean, we know that there was the Fate of the Elder Gods and all that stuff back in 2017, was it?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and some people are starting to work. Devil Bunny destroyed the universe. When is Devil Bunny coming against the multiverse? And will there be the crossover event, the Sentinels versus Devil Bunny? No, that's it.
Yeah, that last one's pretty unlikely. Most of the IPs that we deal with as a company are our IPs, are things that like Sentinels of Multiverse, Spirit Island stuff that we made up ourselves. And even like Devil Bunny stuff counts as that because it's part of the James Ernest stuff, which is now under our umbrella as well. And that will continue to be the case where the majority of the stuff we make is our stuff. We're working, Paul mentioned, we're working with the people that make HomestarRunner.com and making some games with them. We already made the Trogdor game. We're about to be making Crime Scene Tamper. And that is their IP, but again, we're working with them on that. Now, there are other things in the future that we could do that, and some of those IPs are going to come. Certainly, we are making more IPs that are internal things. Paul and I are working on a big thing right now that we'll put out in 2025. Don't worry about it.
It's extremely exciting.
It
looks very cool.
Yeah, but we're years
so
from
good.
now. Years from now, literal years. But there are other things that we're going to be making that either come internally from us or from outside designers or creators that we've been working with, and some IPs that you have probably heard of, and then some that you obviously haven't because we're making them up right now. Additionally, Flat River Group certainly has more reach in certain areas where they can get us access to things that we didn't have before, and that might be added to the stuff we're working on. So the answer is kind of like before, who knows what we're going to make in a few years, but that who knows is a bigger who knows than ever before.
Yeah, and it is just to echo that. It is certainly more likely that we would wind up designing a game for a particular interesting license. We don't have any of them officially in the works now, but because of that kind of
I think that answers the question.
Fair enough.
yeah.
Thank you.
For those of us in countries that don't have Target, will the new Spirit Island be sold in our countries, or is it only Target to only in the U.S.?
So, if you're living in the United States, you can go to a Target, and as of October this year, you can go to Target and you can get Horizons of Spirit Island. Great. If you're living outside of the United States, what has happened is we've just announced Horizons of Spirit Island, and it's like a Kickstarter that'll be delivered in 2 years. That Horizons of Spirit Island is not going to be available outside of Target, outside of the US, until 2 years from October of this year. The license with Target, they're like, this is the thing that you're making for us. It is exclusive for us. We have it. And potentially they would just have it forever. And we're like, okay, but we got to be able to put this out into the world. They're like, okay, great. We can do a thing. And we argue back and forth. And 2 years is what they want. All right. This product and all of the stuff within it, the reworking of the power cards, the 5 brand new spirits that were created for it, none of it would exist if Target hadn't asked for this. So there's no way that this could have happened without Target. So
I can add a little bit of hot off the presses potential news. So what Christopher said is canonically true currently.
Yes.
Yes. However, here at Gen Con yesterday, I talked to some people associated with the Target deal and things like that, and there is a chance that we will be able to sell it out like sooner than that outside of North America. But there's nothing definitive or for sure yet because it takes a lot of like corporate like checking on various things. But I will say that like we're very interested in getting it to non-US people as soon as it is possible to do so.
Yeah.
And we will certainly get it to non-US people as soon as it is possible to do so.
And worst case scenario, that's 2 years from October, and that's kind of like, I was like, oh, this is the party line. But yeah, we are definitely working behind the scenes to try to accelerate that timetable. Whether or not that's successful is not up to us, but if it were, we would make it available as of this fall. So.
I will also say, like, it is a little rough to hear I can't have the cool thing.
Yeah.
But with Spirit Island specifically, it's been so hard to keep it in stock for us over time. Now that we finally have our like production set up with our all of our stuff being able to get Spirit Island into stock more often, we've mostly been focusing on making that happen. And now that Horizons is a thing and these other expansions are a thing, we're going to continue to make them available for the future. So it's not going to be like hard to get as much anymore now once we have everything under our banner.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Spirit Island originally came out in 2017, and it is still doing well and still widely available, more widely available now than ever. And so Horizons, worst case scenario, 2 years from now will be available everywhere. So that is right now the best we can do, and we're trying to do better. But we are very aware of that pinch point. So yeah, no problem. Other questions? Yes.
So, with the introduction of Branch and Claw and Jagged Earth, there are a lot of new spirits, a lot of more powerful and more unique spirits that we've been seeing. Are there any plans to ever go back and maybe some of the spirits that feel less unique, less powerful? As an example, Shadows Flicker like Flame, there's a lot of talks where people try and judge power levels of spirits, and that's commonly one that people value very low. Are there ever any plans to maybe readjust, maybe make like a version 2 or something on some of those old spirits?
So not necessarily a version 2. So we have released aspects, and that is a way to bring in the power level and change the loadout of a spirit. It's an interesting phenomenon around Shadows Flicker like Flame, because there's a number of people that are like, oh, Shadows Flicker like Flame is lower powered than other things, but high-end testing doesn't bear that out. Like super high-end play, people who are playing like two to level 6 adversaries simultaneously find that Shadows is competitive. The problem is that Shadows is higher complexity than it seems. So of the low complexity spirits, it's like, oh, Lightning, really easy to play, blow things up. River, really easy to play, move things around. Shadow, really easy to play, what am I doing? But at higher level play, it's good. So the problem is less the power curve on Shadows and more the information presentation on Shadows. Not saying there's not a problem, but the problem is slightly skewed. Anyway, point being, we're not looking to go back to the core game and rework any of that until a hypothetical super far down the road. Maybe someday we do a second edition of Spirit Island, but that would be years from now.
Yeah.
So
We just have a lot of cool content to release there. But I
Right.
think that aspects is mostly the answer
Right,
to the
like you
question. That's our answer that we've come to, is be like, oh, you can play around with this kind of same spirit concept.
And Shadows
Tweak it.
Flicker Like Flame has several aspects that are already released, and there is an aspect, even though there's already aspects out for Shadows, Nature Incarnate does come with, spoilers, Nature Incarnate does come with another aspect for Shadows that does yet more different things with Shadows.
This is
So-
a new information release, so feel free to take it to all your friends.
Yeah.
I haven't posted
but-
it anywhere yet.
Yeah, but so yeah, there's lots of cool aspects in Nature Incarnate that do a lot of interesting things for a variety of spirits, including Shadows. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Other questions? Oh, sure.
I was curious about the Sentinels of Earth-Prime release. I was wondering how that crosswalk work came about,
Sure.
and if it's sort of a precursor for other possible crossovers.
Sure. So Chris Pramus of Green Ronin, of the creator of the Mutants and Masterminds setting. Green Ronin is, for those of you who don't know, an RPG publisher. They have an RPG called Mutants and Masterminds that is a superhero RPG. And many, many, many years ago, Chris came to us and was like, hey, we really love Sentinels of the Multiverse. We would love to have a card game that fit in with our with our RPG thing, but we don't want to make it, and also we don't really know, like, we're card games for superheroes, but you guys make really good card games for superheroes. Would you do that for us? And so we talked back and forth, and that's what came of that. So I was able to design and create all of the content for that. They gave me all the briefs on here's the characters, here's the settings. Okay, cool. I steeped myself in that lore, created all that stuff out. That took a bit longer than expected, but not significantly. Then they took it back in-house and did art for it, and that took a lot longer than expected, but they don't have the same sort of artist on tap that we do for Sentinels, and that makes a big difference. So that was the process for that. In terms of potential other future things, it's potential. I wouldn't say that Sentinels of Earth-Prime is a precursor to other things. It's not like, now that that's happened, we'll also have this and this and this and this. But it's not outside of the possibility. The main trick is that, like, I have so much stuff planned for the next several years for Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition that I don't know when I would have time in there to make other stuff for Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition. However, Sentinels of the Multiverse, Sentinels of Earth-Prime is right now, I know a way that a lot of people play Sentinels of the Multiverse is on the computer or on their phones or other devices, and Sentinels of the Multiverse, or Sentinels of Earth-Prime right now is on Kickstarter as we speak, and doing well for coming to digital through Handelabra, and that is, and like, I know I've heard some people be like, oh, but like, that's just for the Steam version. Where is it for iOS or Android? It's mostly that the app stores are nonsense for crowdfunding, and so it is releasing simultaneously on all those platforms. It's just that it's just crowdfunding for Steam. Anyway, point being, that's coming out for the digital, and that will be a standalone thing you can play digitally, but if you have both, they will integrate, and you can use them together. Fantastic. So that there is support within the realm of Sentinels of the Multiverse. But as for when, I don't see myself, for instance, making any content for Sentinels of the Multiverse non-definitive edition ever again. Like, I'm only moving forward definitive edition style-wise. And in terms of the soonest that I could see myself making anything for definitive edition that isn't one of my babies, it's gonna be a minute. I'm obviously never gonna say never, because who knows what the future may hold. If the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's that future plans are ridiculous. But for now, I know what my release schedule is, at least through 2026 for definitive edition. So anyway,
And it's very cool. I'm excited about it.
yeah, I got some stuff. So yeah, great question. Other questions? Yes. Yes. Yes, for those of
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, BackerKit, which is a back-end system, a pledge manager system that Kickstarter, interfaces with Kickstarter, they earlier this year announced that actually now it's already open, but as of this summer/fall, they are doing themselves crowdfunding holistically on their site. And this is a thing that we are very excited about. We think it's a very good idea. We have been BackerKit users since the Oblivion Kickstarter. That was the first time we used BackerKit, and they are an excellent group of people to work with. They're very responsive. They're very on top of things. And
How many of you have backed one of our Kickstarters and used BackerKit? Or used BackerKit through some other...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
BackerKit has pretty good industry reach, and that's the main concern with like a lot of the competitors to Kickstarter is that they're like, okay, sure, but Kickstarter has all of the reach, and everybody else has no reach comparatively. And so I think it's really important and good that there is an actual competitor to Kickstarter, because that's going to be good for BackerKit and for Kickstarter. Right now, Kickstarter's like, we just do it this way, blah. And that's all there is. And people can like use other things, but really it's just Kickstarter. And BackerKit is the first company that has had a chance of like actually being a thing on the market that people use that pushes Kickstarter. And already in response, we've seen Kickstarter be like, oh, okay, well, we'll do this and we'll do that. I'm like, great, keep doing that. Meanwhile, BackerKit's like, this is what we got to do to stay ahead of Kickstarter. I'm like, good, great. It's gonna be good for everybody. So when BackerKit talked to us about it, and they're like, hey, you've been saying for a while, because we have, that we should do crowdfunding. We're going to do that now. would you have something for us? And we're like, absolutely, we got a Spirit Island expansion. They're like, oh, it's like, yeah, so I thought.
On
how
that
does
note, BackerKit is here this weekend. They have a room, I believe, and they have a like atlas that you can go around to see some of the upcoming projects. If you've seen Coyote and Wolf's games, they have an expansion that's going to be coming through BackerKit. BackerKit's already supported several campaigns successfully on their site, which is pretty exciting. And so essentially, we're just going to roll up in October and get on the platform just like everybody else who has been having successful projects for a couple of months has done so far. So,
Yeah, we're excited about it. As for how the back end of BackerKit works and the differences between BackerKit and Kickstarter, we're going to find out. We have not yet launched a BackerKit Kickstarter, nor created one, although we're about to spin that up. And I'm certain it's going to be both different from Kickstarter and yet eerily familiar.
And I can talk to that a little bit more about from a business perspective, just to like kind of talk through this kind of decision-making process and kind of our thoughts. So for years, like as Christopher mentioned, we first used BackerKit during the 2016 Oblivion campaign, and then since then we've used it for every campaign. And a lot of game companies have had the same experience where they would never do a Kickstarter without then also doing BackerKit after it as a pledge manager. And the reason why is that inherently, if you've ever been a creator or run a Kickstarter campaign, it's very, very sparse, the tools that you have on the back end. So for a backer, it's very good. It's a pretty streamlined process. It's pretty easy. It's easy. Discoverability is easy there. But everything related to kind of curating what you're doing, presenting people's stretch goals, figuring out how shipping will work or taxes will work, figuring out anything like that, it's very, very sparse. And many creators have asked for more of that. But for years, the option was pay someone else for that kind of functionality, which is very strange. And so now we wound up in a situation, effectively, where for every campaign, we had to pay 2 sets of fees to 2 different companies to support 2 different teams of software engineers to each write half of the platform that we needed. And so we're optimistic that this will, in general, both through BackerKit having the forward-facing crowdfunding side, and then also, hopefully through Kickstarter, crafting some amount of a robust backend that they haven't ever had. We'd hopefully get in a situation where we have multiple options that are good for just paying 1 team of software engineers to write some software. Yeah. So I think it actually will hopefully make it a lot easier for, especially smaller companies or certain kind of projects where the margin is a little bit lower and things like that, also to get off the ground where you're not paying 2 sets of fees and do some more creative stuff there and things like that. So I'm very, very excited about it. And the team at BackerKit has always been fantastic to work with in terms of feature requests and adding new features and things like that. I have meetings with them periodically where I request things, and then usually within a year they implement things I asked for, which is pretty remarkable. So,
and this is the thing that this is not like a formal announcement like Greater Than Games is going to BackerKit and we'll never use Kickstarter again or anything like that. We don't need to bother with that level of delineation. We're using BackerKit this fall. We have intentions to use BackerKit again in the spring. If this fall's BackerKit goes really poorly on the back end, I could see us doing something else in the spring. We don't have to decide at this point. And like I said, I'm really excited to see what the advent of BackerKit doing crowdfunding does to Kickstarter, and then what Kickstarter's response to that does to BackerKit. We're going to use the platform that is best for us as a company and for you guys as our customers. And those 2 platforms and other platforms are going to duke it out for all of our attention. And really, at the end of the day, we're going to be the ones that benefits from it. And by we, I mean me and you. So, yeah.
Other questions?
Yes.
So as your company grows and gets bigger and as you add more people, how do you cope with and deal with and maintain and grow a productive conflict among the teams?
That's a really great question. It's a thing that we have a lot of passion about as a company because when we started, we were a very small team, and then we grew very, very slowly. We added people very cautiously to the team, and there was a point about 4 or 5 years ago in which we realized it was no longer the case that everybody in the company knew what everybody in the company was doing. Because for a long time, we were all just 4 of us in a room doing the things, and we all had 17 hats on, and it had to be the way, and that was it. And then it was like, oh no, now we've got to a point where it's like, oh, so-and-so is holistically in charge of a thing, and so nobody else engages with that thing, and that's great, that's awesome, but it does mean there's an amount of disconnect. And we didn't like that disconnect, because we liked it when everybody knew everything. So one of the important things we do as a company internally is we have once a month mega meetings. And a mega meeting is a meeting which is a shockingly just an hour-long meeting somehow. It's never gone longer than an hour, which doesn't make any sense to me. But it is a 1-hour meeting where the entire company sits in a big room, and we go around the room, and we talk about what we did in the last month. We don't need to do, once in a while when we add new people, we need to do like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and this is what I do. But most of it is like, hey, it's me again, Christopher. In the last month, I spent a lot of time working on Sentinels of Multiverse Definitive Edition, finishing up Rook City Renegades, and starting the next expansion, which is named... And then I also did this and this, and I just like talk about what I do, and then we go around the table and everybody, or around the room, and everybody talks about what they do at the company, or rather what they've been doing in the last month, what they specifically are doing right now. And then after that, we have breakout time where people can just go up to each other and be like, oh, you're working on that, I'm working on this, I think these things are related, and it gives us this feeling of like everybody knows who everybody at the company is and what everybody's doing. Even if you're like, I'm a person in a warehouse, and all I do is I put things in boxes. I know the details of what our person in charge of sales is doing. Okay, great. And that sort of connection, we think is very important in terms of keeping everybody on the same page, because like we, as a company, we are like working together to do a bunch of big things, and it's important that we all know what we're doing to make that happen.
So I would, if anyone is as an entrepreneur, is in a position where you're trying to create a team or build a team, I have lessons that I have learned, basically doing that I think that a lot of people don't, I have a philosophy that a lot of people don't follow, which is basically that it is equally important to hire for culture fit and diversity as it is to hire for a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Not to say that hiring a particular set of skills is not also extremely important.
Right,
It
you're
is.
hiring for that set of skills.
You have to hire for a set of skills, but you also have to hire for culture fit and diversity. So all three of those things are critical. And if you don't do all three of those things, then you can wind up with a team that skill-wise looks good on paper, but doesn't function together nearly as efficiently or well.
Right.
Or you can also wind up with a team where everybody looks the same. Right.
And so nobody's bringing anything new to the table as a result.
Exactly.
Like, that's important.
And so you've got to, and then you wind up either getting in a situation where you're stagnant, or you have trouble breaking out of your bubble creatively, or you just have like a complex set of like work styles and interpersonal issues that make it very, very hard to have good team cohesion and work together. So that's...
You also have a lot of blind spots.
Exactly right. So that is very, very important. So that's just something that we believe in very strongly. And that's true across the board for all of our hiring, right?
Yep.
So,
right.
Yep.
Other than that, we have an amount of stuff. Beyond that in the company, there's like, we have a lot of work, and there's a lot of companies that say things like, we work hard, we play hard. We work hard, we go home at the end of the day. We try to have a good amount of like work-life balance where, no, we're not your family is your family, we're your job. You can still have a nice time at your job, you still like each other, we still find times here and there to like play games and have, community events, but we're not trying to be like a replacement of culture or community, because it's a job at the end of the day.
Katie gets upset at me if I check Slack after a certain amount of hours online, and will be like, "Why are you emailing people when I send it at a late hour?"
Yeah.
So thank you, Katie.
Yeah. We try very hard to emphasize work and life boundaries, so it's really good. It's really nice to have that too and be able to enforce it. So.
We also, during the pandemic, it really helped us
get better at calendars.
Yeah, and get better project management, and get better at having the correct number of meetings with the correct teams, and really refining that. So then when we moved back into the office, we maintained that kind of schedule. And so maintaining that like more disciplined project management combined with being in person again, which makes it easier to collaborate. But you get kind of the best of both worlds, and that's been really, really great over the course of the last year or so.
Great. We are at 10:15, so I don't want to wrap it up or anything, but we could do like some if anybody has any last few questions or any like rapid fire questions, anything you're even curious about,
I will tell you my favorite book.
Sorry.
It's Mortal Engines. Okay. It's very niche. Nobody knows it. Okay, it's Gideon the Ninth. Great.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned that there's new stuff coming with the upcoming expansion,
Nature Incarnate.
Nature Incarnate. What sort of things can you build? We know that there's going to be new aspects. We know that there's going to be new spirits. Presumably there's going to be new powers.
There's going to be a new box.
So there's not, so major and minor powers, the major and minor power decks, as they are between Core Game, Branch of Claw, and Jagged Earth, are quite good, and we don't want to upset that balance / make a big giant stack of powers. So there are some new major powers, but not a lot, intentionally, and the new minor powers that are there play a specific role. So those are which I don't want to get too much more into, but those are not a focus of the box. There are some, but it's not a focus of the box. Boy, I'm gonna dance around here. The new spirits introduce there's 8 new spirits in the set. I don't know if I said that. Maybe I shouldn't have, but whatever. There's 8 new spirits in the set, and 4 of them introduce a new mechanic that really plays differently than any other spirit. It's a new way of a new internal system for a way to play spirits of Spirit Island that these 4 spirits use, and the other 4 don't. So if you're like, man, I just don't like this thing, which if you think that's because you haven't tried enough yet, you're gonna love it. It's great. I love it. But there's 4 spirits that use this new mechanic, and 4 that are more traditional. Although all 8 of these spirits are just bonkers. I've been working very closely. I'm part of the dev team on it, and it's really great. It's really fun stuff. But anyway, so those 8 spirits do that. Additionally, many of the aspects bring that new mechanic that 4 of the spirits are using to other spirits that of course didn't have that before, because it's a brand new thing for this set. So that is one of the mechanical focuses of the set. There's an adversary, just one, but it's a beefy one. There's a couple of scenarios. Fear cards, there's some of those.
And more stuff that we can't talk about yet.
Okay, fine.
We have a
Event cards. Health of the Island
Christopher.
cards.
we also, for in terms of art, we have a
Specs.
popular artist from the Core Game coming back.
And a popular artist from the actually, we have a few familiar faces coming back, because we have from the expansions from Jagged Earth, Emily Hancock, who did Shroud of Silent Mist and some other notable, really beautiful arts, is back. And then also for one spirit only, we have the return of Nolan Nasser, who did the art for River Surges and Wildfire and a few other things. Nolan is a dear friend of the company and a phenomenal artist, and having Nolan's art back in Spirit Island is awesome. It's great. I'll pull it up on my phone and hold it up here, and you can see it from there, and you'll be like, "Whoa, that art!" And I'm like, "I know, it's really cool."
Next slide, please.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, point is, we've got some, but we also have some new artists that are really killing it. So the art in Nature Incarnate is amazing. But you know what? Here's the deal. I'm super jazzed about all the art we put out with Spirit Island. There's like such cool art in Spirit Island across the board. I am just like unabashedly a fan of the artist stable that we've put together for Spirit Island, and Nature Incarnate does not drop the ball in that regard at all. So there are some answers. I hope that was at least somewhat satisfying. I'm trying to not get in trouble.
Yeah, because I can definitely lecture you. That's okay. All right. Do we have any rapid fire questions, quick stuff, anything smaller?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We got a couple.
Can you give us a cryptic hint about a hero coming in the expansion after Rook City?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a great one. Actually, when you started, I'm like, oh, here's a fun one. I have one hero who's 2 heroes.
What's your favorite mechanic in board games of all time?
Well, I'm sorry. What's my favorite? What? My favorite mechanic in board games is Mr. Fixer.
Paul,
That was
answer
the
question.
obvious answer. I was excited about you inevitably saying
My
that.
favorite mechanic in board. I mean, it depends on how big. Cooperative, is that a mechanic? No. Cooperation. Collaboration. My favorite mechanic in board games. Well, does somebody else answer this?
I love any cooperative board game where if you screw up enough, the tokens explode to new spaces. That's just I love being scared at plastic and cardboard. It's great.
I don't know. I'm really bad at favorites. I have things that I like, but then I also have things that I don't like. And whenever I have things, mechanics and stuff that I feel like I don't like and I don't resonate with, I always like to investigate that and be like, hold on, I don't like that, but could I don't like this thing, but I like it in this context. Have any of you played the game The Crew? The Crew is a phenomenal cooperative game, and I loathe cooperative games that have a limited communication as a mechanic. I think it's lazy, and I think it's stupid. This is my hot take. I don't like limited communication, because if I'm playing a cooperative game and I'm cooperating with these people, let me frickin' cooperate with them, all right? No, The Crew has limited communication, and it's perfect. It's perfect. The Crew is a perfect cooperative game, and I'm only mad that I'm not the one that made it. It's amazing. If you haven't played The Crew, you should go play it. It's at least as good as any of the games we've ever made. Oh my God, it's so good.
Any other questions?
Claire, would you rather have animated Sentinels of the Multiverse, or would you have live action?
Would I rather have animated Sentinels of the Multiverse or live action Sentinels of the Multiverse? Animated 1,000 times animated. Yeah. People are dumb. Okay, so I don't want to look at people. I want to see pictures of
board
people.
games. Yeah, what?
That was a good one. Okay. Anything else? More? Nothing?
Nope. Cool.
All right, this is good enough. Thank you
Thank
all
you very much.
so much. This was great. It was great to get to catch up with people. We're
We're letting you go.
Yeah.
It's almost show floor open time, and thank you for coming.
That's true.
Yeah.
Keep
Thank
on
you
saving
so
the
much.
multiverse.
Wait, play greater. That's what I'm signing off with.
Yeah.
Play greater.
That's a better sign off than mine. Mine's very focused.
Yeah.